we have the wonderful Huib van Bockel, who's founder of Tenzing, and he's going to be talking about taking on the big dogs. Over to Huib.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I got asked this morning if I wanted to do a presentation on this topic. Well, obviously, it's a topic close to my heart about taking on the big dogs and do I stand a chance? And I think it's one of the questions I get asked very often, especially in the beginning. And I started about 4 years ago, oh my God, what are you going to do? You know, probably one of the most competitive markets in the world, you know, with the likes of Red Bull, Monster, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all these businesses are, you know, in there and spending, you know, hundreds of millions of pounds, having, you know, thousands or hundreds of thousands of people attacking it. So, you know, I thought, let's just, you know, tackle that question head on. Do I stand a chance? Now, funny enough, I was presenting last week somewhere, and then I got a question. I said, well, Mark Ritson, that most of you will know if you're in marketing. Mark Ritson is obviously, you know, a bit of an icon. And I always really agreed with Mark Ritson on most of the things he said until last week, because I found out he actually is a very big proponent of what he says, you know, capitalism isn't fair. It's his literal quote. He likes to swear, you know, so I won't do it. So he says, and the big are everyone else. So small brands will stay small. His literal words are, you think you're going to grow, but you are not. So according to Mark Ritson, you know, not an unimportant man in the marketing industry, Tenzing doesn't stand a chance. Now, that's an interesting starting point. And I think it's kind of a strange remark on the one hand, because didn't every brand start small at one point? Didn't Red Bull start very small? Didn't Monster start very small? Anyway, but the ins and outs of his remark, I don't understand. But I will try and explain why I do think we have a shot. And because it is indeed a very, very small team that we're doing this. There's only 12 of us that, you know, we have been growing extremely fast over the years. So I like sharing this because I think a lot of people that do know us or know us well think we're a lot bigger than we actually are, especially from a team perspective. So we have a very small team. We're 12 people at the moment. And, you know, we have obviously very, very small budgets compared to these big dogs, right? So, you know, so how can I, in God's name, think that we as a small team stand a chance? Well, I think at the end of the day, and there's also so much written on the topic, you know, is it brand differentiation? Is it, you know, it's distinctiveness and where have you? And I think what people often forget, I think, is when the marketing professors, they also have a product to sell. And, you know, I think the big difference of someone who's actually trying out doing it, you know, you actually feel and know how the market works. And it's very, very difficult to understand how it works very often. But I think it boils down to the concept. And we've got a very simple one. We say Tenzing natural energy, it's good for you, right? So the big difference is, and everyone knows, and I'm not bad-mouthing the competition, if I say everybody knows that energy drinks are filled with artificial ingredients, they're visualized for you right there, and they have a lot of sugar in them. Right, so our concept is very, very simple. We have 60% less sugar and no artificial sweeteners or no artificial anything. There's just ingredients in there that you see there in front of you. So we always like to say it's a triple hit of natural caffeine coming from the green tea, green coffee, and the guarana, Himalayan rock salts for the electrolytes, and then vitamin C coming from the gooseberries and the lemon. So that is our simple proposition. We give you the uplift with plants and with 60% less sugar. Secondly, we're good for the planet. So we're Rainforest Alliance certified on some of our key ingredients, green team to be exact, vegan, we're 100% vegan, and we have a 5% pledge where we say we will pledge to give 5% of our profits to the environment. But we are actually significantly going to double down on this pledge, on our total environmental pledge. And that will be announced in the 1st of January. So I don't want to say anything too much about that yet, but funny enough, during Corona times, when we did suffer a bit as a business, we kind of halved in the key moments of March, April, May. We actually thought, you know, we're going to double down on our environmental pledge. So that's all we're going to be doing from the 1st of January. So it was already at the core of our proposition. We always said we take our energy from nature and we will do anything and we pour our energy into protecting it. as far as we can, as fair and everything that we can do. So therefore, it's good for you, good for the planet. So that is our simple promise. So that comes down to two questions then. Does this matter, right? Will we make it because of these two elements of our proposition? Well, and I think that's where it, is really, I would say, quite simple and straightforward, because we asked the question right in the beginning, of course. It was like 2 years in, so I didn't actually do any research when I started Tenzing. I just thought, I know that people worried about the artificial ingredients and they worried about the sugar, so I just went for it. Only later did I actually check if people would actually, are they waiting or do they want plant-based energy? So the simple question we asked, and we asked this, about every year, we said, a couple thousand people in the UK, 3,000 people to be exact, said, would you rather have synthetic energy or an energy drink made purely from plants? Well, I think you can probably guess the numbers, but 82% says plants, and there's still a group of 18% out there that likes their energy synthetic. So, at the moment, this is not our market share, unfortunately. But then I ask, why couldn't it be? And I think if people know this and they want this, all that's stopping them now is habit, right? It's simple that either they don't know us or they do, but the habit still drives their decision. So, and I think that is, of course, one of the most difficult things that we all know in marketing is to change that habit. But I think, and I don't expect it to be overnight, but it's all about kind of slowly chipping away, keeping on going, right? So that's the first question. And the second question is, would you prefer to buy a brand that has a positive impact on the environment? Now, there's also a lot of data about this. I've found some from Futura. We look at, but there's many different data points. They always say about the same, that about 88 or like 80 to 90%, he says, yes, I would love to make a positive impact on the environment. And 12% says, never mind. So I think here it goes. So in both the cases, do you want an energy drink made purely from plants? About 80% said yes. And would you rather have a brand that makes a positive impact on the environment? About 80% says yes. So I think based on these two questions and based on this kind of, data, we know that in the long run, we can get there, and it's not going to be easy. Like any startup, anyone who's ever started their own business will know, and a lot don't make it because there's also a lot of other reasons why you can or cannot make it in the long run. But we think we have a very good chance of making it and taking these big guys on, simply because we have a proposition that isn't out there. We were the first ones in 2016 to launch a purely from plant-based energy drink. And we've been chipping away and growing very steadily and very fast ever since. Even in our Corona year, we were going to grow a lot faster than we will this year, but we will still grow with about 10 to 15% in this Corona year. And I think the last point I wanted to make, which is also one of the key reasons, so that smaller brands can indeed make it. Of course, I think, like I said, it has to start with the right proposition. It has to start with the product. Is the product relevant? Is it something that's unique? But I think also what is nice also just to work for a small brand, like I've worked for many big brands in the past, is the amount of entrepreneurship that you can have, and the amount of people willing to work with you with that. So a lot of I think that's actually a big advantage that people, when you're at a big businesses, that you don't actually quite realize that whether it's a Tesco or Sainsbury's or Holland & Barrett, but also the media channels. So they all like to be involved with the smaller brand where they deal directly with the founder, with the small team. And it's amazing what you can make happen. And one of the things that we actually did is where everyone was obviously pulling back their budgets. So obviously in the Corona days and in the lockdown, I think basically all businesses, unless you were, of course, thriving, but most businesses weren't, of course, everyone massively pulled back all their budgets. So what then, of course, happens? A long time ago, I used to work for MTV. So, I understand how the media landscape works, and it's not that difficult, of course. And it's very simple. They have advertising blocks in their hour, which they have to fill. And if they're not full, it's effectively empty blocks. And at the same time, so what was happening in Corona days, the blocks were not empty, I would say, but like emptier. There was space there to be had. And secondly, of course, the viewing numbers were through the roof, right? So everyone was, wasn't allowed to go outside. so was watching TV. So the TV numbers had never been higher, and the advertising rate, advertising, blocks had never been emptier. So we had a certain amount of budget. We went to all the big channels, and at the end of the day, we worked with Channel 4, and they actually started a program together with us. We were the first one to start the program with them, where they actually doubled the amount of advertising spend we had. Allowing us to really cut through in the UK. So we actually, in February, before lockdown, our national awareness was about 10%, and this is 18 to 54. So you could see, and it went up to 25% in lockdown. And actually, if you look in the more narrow and our more actually target group, the people that we buy Tenzing and that love our brand, 18 to 35, we even went to 30%. So we actually. And that's the good example of, being entrepreneurial, being small, and be able to make those decisions. We came out of lockdown with an awareness that was 3 times higher than that we went in. Without lockdown, there was no way we would have ever been able to afford TV. So I think, and that's also one of the major upsides of being a small business. So that's my conclusion. I said, obviously, never listen to the experts. Every small business, when you start, and I've been guilty of that in the past. When I have friends of mine who started their own business, everyone will be skeptic. Everyone will be, saying, I think behind your back, no chance that person will make it. But now we've been 4 years in. We've nearly tripled our business every year. We've been the fastest growing energy drink 4 years in a row. And over the last period of the last 12 months, we've actually also for the first time ever become the top 3 absolute growers. So in absolute growth terms, we're now actually, getting closer with the big dogs. So not only in percentage wise still the fastest growing, but also in absolute terms we're the fastest growing. And we always say, we have a little mantra also based on our Tenzing and on our founding name of Sherpa Tenzing, of course, who was the first man on Mount Everest. And we'll just keep on climbing. And I think that's the key thing. As long as you slowly keep going and keep growing, you'll gain awareness, you'll gain trial, and people will slowly, but surely, hopefully make that choice that we know at the end of the day they want to make. So thank you very much.
Great.
And I think if there's any questions, let me know.
Great. Thank you so much, Huib. That was very inspirational as well. And your story is very, is about being a challenger in a world of big dogs, right? So you talked there about climbing the mountain, and obviously Tenzing is defying the odds and continuing to be, agile, entrepreneurial, and so on and so forth. But what's the next mountain that you have to climb, do you think, in your business?
Well, I think at the end of the day, we are actually going to the US now.
Right.
So we've just announced this last week, or actually 2 days ago, which we will have a very focused approach. So during lockdown, we were actually, I would say, quite lucky. I think obviously the elements of luck is also very crucial in, any startup. And I think we were if Corona or lockdowns would have happened two years ago, I think we'd be in a very difficult place. But I think we were just around that phase where we had enough loyal people that really loved the Tenzing brand. So we saw a lot of channels really collapse for us. So for instance, we were quite big in offices and universities.
Sure.
But that whole channel is gone. But actually, most of those people actually started buying us online. So we had a good presence on Amazon. We had a good presence on our own website. So we've actually been able to compensate the losing channels with online. So we were just, I think, lucky in that sense. And because Amazon has been growing so fast for us, we actually decided to go to the US purely on Amazon, which we'll manage ourselves. Okay. We don't actually then see as a new country, maybe naive so, but we see it as an extra channel.
Well, I'd like to wish you the greatest of success with those Californian Alps. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Huib.